You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Chief Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Riot After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Riot After Show.
Hey, AFTERBUZZ TV fans, we are here covering Fox's Riot, Episode 2. And you guessed it, that's the Seinfeld theme song. Joining the cast tonight is Jason Alexander from Seinfeld and Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Joining us tonight to talk about the show with me is Adrian Snow.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Good to have you back. Good to be back. We took a little brief week break between the first episode and now, and a little bit of a timing change, right, Adrian?
Yes, they switched it from the 9 o'clock show to the 8 o'clock show, so it's the lead-in for I Want to Marry Harry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, hopefully it does well in that time slot.
Yeah.
We certainly enjoyed talking about it last time, and hopefully we can continue to do so. Tonight, what are your thoughts of Episode 2?
I thought it was definitely a lot better than the first episode. It seemed a little bit more structured, and they moved some stuff around within the episode, which I think helped as well.
Definitely.
So,
I was feeling the structure for sure. I think hopefully maybe during that week break that we just discussed, the editing in post sort of had time to finally edit the show a little bit, maybe add a little adjustments here and there.
Yeah.
Post-process can be very rushed, so to speak. So any time that's additional is a gift for sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Slideshow, the third rendition. It was a gym setting this time.
Yes.
How do you feel that worked?
I think with a more simplified set, it was a lot better. So whereas like the first episode, there was so much going on in the set itself that it was hard to focus. This time, it was very simple, clean set, so you could focus more so on what was being said and what the characters were doing. I mean, they still kind of got a little manic with like throwing slushies at each other or smoothies at each other and stuff like that, but it was easier to track what was going on this time around, for me at least. What'd you think of it?
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I think that they maybe have ironed out the roles a little bit more. Maybe the actors themselves sort of picked, I don't know if it's through them, if they picked more concrete objectives, or maybe they were given kind of behind the scenes. But it seemed like each one it sort of had a directive to go to.
Yeah.
The one girl, I believe it's Meryl, she was hungover in the show, and the other girl, Jess, sort of was very super into the whole gym workout thing. So I think those different personality types, if you kind of break those up and assign those, made it more clear where the scene could go.
Yeah, I also feel like because there wasn't as much stuff to do on set, they had to take a little bit more time to think about, okay, well, this is the thing we're going to see next, or this is what I'm going to do next, versus just kind of rushing through it, and then all of a sudden, somebody's head is in an oven and it's smoking. So it was a little bit more like, okay, we can take our time and we don't have to rush the whole scene. Right.
Yeah. No, I think that, as long as they get into the basics of what the scene is, then they can kind of use the environment to their advantage. In the first episode, I feel like they were really only just thrown into the environment without that sort of backstory. So they were sort of struggling to find a way how to use it in the scene, and so instead of just reacting to it, which is, it still has funny moments, but it's a lot of sort of waiting for something else to happen and lead it along. Whereas this seemed more like they could pick it up as they needed. Like there's a wait, like, oh, I can incorporate this right now.
Yeah. And there was less sliding, which I appreciated.
Yes.
People had a much better balance with this team than the previous team, so that was nice.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
That's good.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot better. I like the both of these slideshows better than. I mean, the whole episode seemed to flow a lot more well paced. I feel like across the board. Even let's move on to the next one, Alpha Body. I thought that worked out a lot better.
Well, I think Cheryl Hines and Jason Alexander have just like a really. I don't know. I don't know them personally, but it seems like they actually have a pretty good friendship in terms of like how they communicate with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when they were spelling out the word Alpha Body, it was a lot easier to see what they were doing. One, just because they were really comfortable with like touching each other and getting on top of each other. So that was fun, and also I liked that they actually spelled out the word in order. Right.
No, I was going to bring that up too. I mean, as a viewer, I enjoyed that much more because I could play along. It's you saw the letters seeming to go in a certain direction. S, E, X, and then you could actually guess. Whereas the other way, it sort of was jumbled. It didn't leave a lot of. I mean, there's no way you could play along until all of the letters are out there, and even then, it's still kind of hard.
Yeah, the last time it was, he told them that they could spell it out of order, whereas this time he didn't mention that. So that was nice to just kind of be like, we're just going to spell out the word.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think it was a lot better that we were just watching them spell out the word, and sort of the enjoyment was with their interaction a little bit more, sort of figuring out how to lay on top of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, making the X and the Y, it was obviously more of a coordinated effort. So it was interesting to see that. And I liked how it played out in this episode a lot better. I thought that was one of the strongest segments, actually.
Yeah. And it also, I think it was a better move right after slideshow to have that than having it right after Bunch of Jerks, which is where it used to be.
Right, exactly. I mean, the pacing, I think, is really where it excelled this episode, and that could have been something they shifted around. In post, obviously, we don't know what order they shot it in, but it definitely felt, fitting coming off of slideshow, which was a longer sort of segment, to go into one that was sort of
just quick.
Yeah, short and sweet.
Yeah.
So that really fit really well. And then they followed it up with an even shorter one almost. Fun facts, which is new to this episode. I definitely like this. We've seen it before in sort of game shows. Talk shows sometimes implement this in short form. How did you feel about it?
It was okay. I wasn't that crazy about it. I don't know. Maybe I didn't think the jokes were as funny as I don't know. Whenever they do like audience stuff, I prefer when it's live. So like all the audience reactions were pre-recorded from when they first arrived in the studio. But I kind of always like it like whenever you watch like a sports show or a sports game on TV and they cut to someone, it's a kiss cam. And like, there's that look of surprise and then kind of riffing off of that. So the fact that it was pre-recorded, I didn't really like it as much. I think it would have been more fun to kind of like just pick someone at the audience at that moment. And then have them kind of riff.
Definitely. That's a good point. I would love to see something like that. I mean, especially when Jason Alexander said that those two guys were his agents. I would have loved to see if they...
their instant reaction.
Right, exactly. And then the other guys can kind of play off that, leading it into like further scenarios of some kind of hilarity.
Yeah, or even with the guy who was taking off his jacket but leaving on his scarf and hat when John said that if you're hot, you should just take off your scarf. It would have been fun to have seen maybe that guy go,
just like
oh yeah, maybe,
off,
right, and take off the scarf, So that live reaction is kind of what I thought was missing from that segment.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I wonder if they can use that. I mean, my fear is if they did that, it would get sort of, because it's in nature a little bit mean-spirited.
Yeah.
If, it'd be hard not to get super self-conscious of whatever you were doing.
Well, even if it isn't live, it's still kind of like a weird,
100%. That's why they kind of were showing back and forth their live reactions, I think, to where they were pre-recorded before.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it would be like in the hot seat just getting almost roasted in a sense. For obviously not that long, but still. can be nerve-wracking for the average audience member who may not be expecting that.
That's true. That's true. I guess it keeps more control over the reactions, I suppose.
True. But no, I'm with you. I think
Yeah.
the potential might be worth the risk.
Yeah.
Sorry, audience members, but you may sign up for that if you go
signed
to
into
the
it.
show.
There's like I'm sure there's.
Yeah, there's a clause in there.
Yeah.
We'll make fun of you.
When I did, I was an audience member on Let's Make a Deal, and my friend got picked, and so, I didn't think anything of it. When she got picked, they asked us like, should you do this or do this? And I was like screaming at the camera. So, on national television, there's like this image of me screaming, looking like a maniac.
Right.
But I signed up for that.
Definitely,
That's what I
and I feel
agreed
like
to.
whenever you go out to something like that, that's sort of what you sign up for. I've been to comedy shows and things where the comedians will pick out people and engage the audience, and that's sort of a fun thing that is involved in going in a live show. That's why you go, is because that unexpected, that X element is possible. They can use you. It's different every time, and that sort of makes it unique. I think those people, I mean, regardless, are going home that night with a story to tell forever. I mean, they'll never forget the time they went to a show and was sort of included in it.
Yeah. So it was a fun segment. I hope that they build upon that segment. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely hope that they bring that one back for sure. We saw another old one, Bunch of Jerks. Similar to last time, I thought it was a bit better though.
I did too.
It seemed they structured it a little bit more on the roles of the people, creating more scenarios, and I think that helped sort of work things along a little bit more. It seemed like they were all actively trying to contribute to the conversation.
Except for Meryl.
Right.
Poor Meryl.
Yeah, poor Meryl.
She just isn't good at it. So,
a deer in the headlights.
okay.
I'm sorry, Meryl, but
Yeah,
it's not your game, apparently.
It's a difficult thing to phrase everything in a
100%.
question.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything they do is so spot on and
Yeah.
has to be just the tip of your tongue almost before you can think about it. So it's amazing that they can do all of these. And I've definitely been in that position where it's just like, what?
I don't know what to say. How do I phrase this in a
Just
question?
pull me up.
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
But I will say with Jason and Cheryl hosting that they are naughtier than Steve Carell and, oh my gosh, Andy Buckley was the last host? Yeah. So the things that they would say throughout the whole show were just like a little bit more adult and a little bit more edgy, which is kind of why A Bunch of Jerks was probably a little bit more appealing to me, because they just kind of were willing to say things like in these kind of kid scenarios, like where
Right.
I think the Girl Scouts, she commented on, she's like, if you're not a girl, why are you in the Girl Scouts? And just kind of riffing off of like, well, why are you commenting on my gender identification? And just kind of being willing to be more edgy with what they're saying versus kind of playing it safe.
Definitely. I love that she was sort of pushing the envelope a lot. And I think that the other cast members responded to it well. I mean, she sort of did it to jar them and throw them off balance, which made it more entertaining for me to watch, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, when she was like, haven't I slept with that guy? Like, I mean...
Yeah, she's like, oh, I have a threesome with all of you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, that's
know?
something that was like so unexpected that they... obviously were thrown off, but did have an opportunity to kind of take it back in that direction and sort of hit the ball back.
Yeah, it was a nice riff. Just because I think the thing that got me last episode was that they were so safe and everything was so kind of cheeky and cheesy and that's cute, but you're on Fox at 9:00 at night. I think it's okay for you to play a little fast and loose if you want to.
Right. Plus,
So-
I mean, the show is called Riot.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, I want sort of the chaos, oh, God, did he just say that moment?
Exactly.
I mean, they're appealing to wide audiences, we realize, but not everything has to be straight up Disney G.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I like sort of the rougher edges.
It's not Nickelodeon. It's not Disney. It's Fox.
Exactly.
Fox is known for saying really inappropriate things before 10 o'clock.
Exactly. I mean, you look
So
at
it's
Family
okay.
Guy, they're really out there sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, with their innuendos and everything references, I feel like Riot can definitely take those liberties a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. So it was nice to see that for A Bunch of Jerks, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the topics that they did go over, the Christmas, the Girl Scouts, the elevator, I mean, sort of G topics to begin with, can definitely take it that way, and I was happy to see them sort of steer the ship into an interesting direction. I mean, otherwise it's just sort of has the potential to get boring. But yeah, it was great to see that they the two celebrity guests, I think, really worked this time.
Yes, they were a lot.
We saw Jason Alexander come back in the dark.
Yes.
I know we had differing opinions of the first time. Do you think this was better than the last time?
I do. Well, I think the same way that slideshow was better because there was less stuff for them to deal with is also why I think In the Dark was better. There just wasn't as much stuff for them to run into. They were able to take more time with it. I think also having an unexpected person in there was a lot of fun, just kind of seeing them deal with this person who they're not expecting, who is pretty much naked.
And hairy.
And very hairy. So it was fun to really see them take their time with that. Whereas with the last In the Dark, it was four of them, three or four of them in there all at once. And it was kind of a bunch of food and messy, and it got a little messy, but it wasn't so messy that it was distracting like it was last time.
Right. No, that's a really good point. I think they did an excellent job sort of controlling the chaos this time around. There was obviously chaotic moments, them shoveling all this lotion on this poor guy's head. But, at the same time, they made it a little bit more easy to navigate. There's one sort of obstacle in the middle, being the bald, hairy man. But it sort of added an extra layer, too, to freak out the contestants. They didn't know if he had any clothes on or which way was his head. So I feel like that... watching that was a lot more exciting, a lot more, I sort of wanted to see, like, was there anything under the towel? We don't know. I mean, thank God that there was. It is still a TV show, so.
Yes, on National
Crisis
Network.
averted. Exactly. But, I think, it helped a lot. I mean, Jason Alexander's role when he came in, I think, was a lot more predetermined, probably just by him. But it seemed to work out. I mean, he came in there with a set character. He had a sort of a storyline. He'd been there before, was waiting for a while, and all this stuff. And it sort of gave it a direction to go so that others could react to it. Because I got to imagine, In the Dark, you're not working with a lot.
No, I really want to know just how dark is it? Because some of them seem to navigate pretty well in the darkness. They have a kind of set path, or they kind of seem to know what they're doing. I'm like, how dark is it? I assume it's pitch black, but...
Yeah, that's a really good question. Hopefully, maybe one time we can communicate with one of the creators or someone that's involved and really ask them that, because I would love to know. Audience, please, if you guys know, anybody knows, please tweet at us.
Is it pitch black?
Is it pitch black? I've been in pitch black, as we talked about last time, in that restaurant, and you cannot see anything. Like, it is impossible. Something that was right in front of me, I was fumbling being able to do. So I can't. Hopefully, they have a little bit of light just to be able to.
For safety.
Right, for safety.
See, I can do that because I'm actually terrified of pitch black darkness, especially if I have to be awake and moving around. I would probably be like, you know what?
I found the corner.
I think
We're
I'm
good.
just gonna sit here. You guys do your scene. So, but it was a lot better. And yeah, Jason coming in at the very end and kind of. Having this really
getting
odd
his semi.
Yes, he really wanted to drive that home that he had a semi. So, sexual innuendos. Oh,
of course, yes. No, again, that's what drive this episode for me in a really good way. I mean, they didn't get crazy vulgar with it, but it was enough to sort of be edgy and a little racy at times, which I enjoyed.
It was kind of like Disney racy, like when you go back as an adult. And you hear a joke in like a Disney family film.
Exactly.
Oh, that's about sex. Whereas as a kid, you were like,
just
whoop. Yeah, so it was a nice,
right over the head. That's the perfect way to describe it. Yeah. And then we went to another familiar segment, Shadow Puppets. Again, similar to the last time. I wish they had some sort of scoring. Yes. Or time limit. I mean, they have the time limit for Alpha Body, but some sort of scoring. It seemed that they paired the celebrities against each other. And even the host Rove mentioned, you know, like, are you getting worried, Jason, when Cheryl was starting to get a lot? And it was interesting to see that, you know, there wasn't a way to see if one of them was doing better. Like, are they on a team against each other? Are they not?
Yeah.
You know, I think it would be a little bit more enjoyable, add a new layer if they added that in, saying like, she has to get this many for it to work.
That's the one thing on Minesweeper and on Shadow Puppets that I want. If there was just like a little thing at the bottom that says, you know, even if it's like a ding sound where you can count it for yourself, just so you know, okay, Jason got 3 of them right and Cheryl got 4 of them right. Just to kind of keep track, just not that it matters at the end of the show, but just for an audience member, just to kind of have something else to do with my brain as I'm watching this happen. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Exactly. And it sort of like creates an urgency for the scene. I mean, if she's getting close, like we can see the score, we're kind of like, oh, is she gonna get Spider-Man? It's Spider-Man. Like yelling at the TV is a lot more fun than just forgetting about that whole thing that just happened. I feel like it's easy when they play like 3, 4, 5, 6 games to forget where we are. I mean, it seems like we don't move on to the next one until the last one's been identified correctly. So, you know, if she does get hung up, is that like a danger there, or does it not mean anything?
Yeah, and how the celebrities tend to react to it is that they feel rushed, so they're kind of trying to go as fast as they can.
Right.
But they really don't have any reason to feel rushed, because it seems like they can take their time with it. If they don't get it, then, you know, they'll just keep going until they do, or he'll turn them around, and maybe they won't have as many guesses later on. But if they have like a set number of guesses that they have to do, I think that just creates a sense of urgency for the celebrity guest and for the other contestants, or, you know, game show host. I don't know. They're not the host. I don't know. It gives this kind of sense of urgency to them that gets the show moving in a way that is more entertaining for me.
Definitely. I mean, we can talk about this right now with Minesweeper. I think it's the same sort of thing where it's entertaining to watch. I just would love, you know, that kind of extra level of excitement and urgency, the sort of to give the characters more motivation to kind of get this going. Like, let's get those guesses out. The ball's coming. Like,
if they had,
time is of the essence.
Exactly. If they had just 5 or 10 seconds for each person who goes up to do something, to do a charade, and the celebrity doesn't guess it and they get knocked down, the next person comes up and they don't guess it again, they get knocked down, and they have to move on. I think that would be more fun, just kind of in terms of pacing and more interactive for the audience as well.
Right. Well, just having some sense of loss, I feel like makes the stakes a lot higher and more interesting for the viewer.
Yeah.
Without that, it sort of seems like, well, I mean, the worst that can happen is the ball hits the guy and they fall on the soft pad, and then they get back up again and do it again. So it sort of seems like a mindless, never-ending loop almost, which is less thrilling to watch than say something that they only have certain amount of time and certain amount of tries to really get it right.
It's every time I see Minesweeper, I think of American Gladiator, and then I just start to reminisce as I'm watching the show, and I'm like, I wish this was American Gladiator so bad. And really, you know, celebrity style or whatever. Because it's just that even when I forget what it was called, where they would have the thing and they would have to beat each other until they fell off.
Those sticks.
Yeah. There is a timer on that as well. So they had a certain amount of time to do it. You know, it wasn't just like, we're just going to watch them and see if they're strong enough to hit the person down. It was, you have, 30 seconds to do this. One of you has to fall. If you don't, you're both, I think it was like you both got out. It never happened. A gladiator always knocked the person down. But just even having that kind of pacing, or even if they just did American Gladiator, if they just did that one thing for me.
Just that one thing. Come on, Fox. Let's do it. Yeah, so. There's another show I think we talked about last time, Hollywood Game Night. They do a bunch of different segments. One that's just popping in my head right now is their 2 contestants are pitted against each other trying to pick out things and sort of guess them out. And they pass this big bowl of confetti back and forth. And there's a timer in the background, which I guess they say it's at random time picked every contestants. But it's just this sound, this clicking noise that gets faster and faster, and then when it ends, you see the bowl of confetti like explodes on someone.
Yeah.
So that's something again where it's not that many aspects where we need to see exactly this is like 43 seconds left, but it's something where it creates the urgency and creates sort of an end game. Like we know it's coming, it's here, it's now, it's happening.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's close to that with Minesweeper because the ball is right there, but at the same time there's nothing sort of showing that like, oh my god, like I'm about to be hit by a ball, like you have to guess this now. Like what's wrong with you?
And they usually know. They know right before it happens because it's a very slow moving ball. They're like, oh, they even have time to like
there's
make
like,
a face.
You didn't get it.
They have time to prep. I'm like, just knock them over. Just like,
Right.
I want to like, freeze shots of their faces, like making spit flying and tongues like slinging out because they've gotten hit so hard.
Definitely. Or if it was a little less distracting, maybe if they had a version like a mini Minesweeper, like a tiny ball that you could actually dodge. I think it'd be cool if you could still sort of try and like act out and just be
maybe
evading,
if they had to,
like some exactly, or some type of obstacle that allowed you to stay up there but was still distracting or something you had to deal with. Hopefully, maybe next time they'll unveil something new.
Maybe they'll surprise us. That'd be good.
Exactly. But they went back to the same sort of format thing, slideshow round 2, this time in a bar. I love this setting. How did you feel about it?
A lot easier to track, and also I think the characters were better in this because they really did kind of take their time. They only had 2 people to start, which I always think is best, just to have 2 people to start, have a third person come in. Even in improv, when I go and see it, at UCB or Groundlings or anything, I always like the scenes to start with 2 people, and then from there we introduce more people. Or if it's an all group scene, that's fine as long as everyone's kind of listening and paying attention to each other.
Right.
So that was the scene starting with her and him making a cocktail reference and her pulling the age card. I thought that was fun. So.
Definitely. I love that banter, and it was sort of great seeing another aspect of him sort of serving it up and her hitting it like a way he didn't expect.
Yeah.
Which was great to see how that played out. And sort of throughout that scene, how so many other things were incorporated. Like you said, the story was much more structured. It was a lot more clear to the viewer, at least. When people were going in, each actor sort of furthered that along by helping it make more clear.
Yeah.
I mean, they used the name of the bar, Leprechaun's Crotch.
Yes.
A lot. They also named drinks, The Very Bad Decisions. They brought that back when Cheryl Hines came in. So there was a lot more fun, I felt, happening with the characters. It's a jarring setting. We get that. Like the 22 degrees messes you up and beyond belief. But it was great to see them sort of adapt to it and still be able to move forward more than in even the first one of this episode.
I think what usually happens is when it gets to the 4th person, it gets a little crazy. So I started to notice that where I felt like a little disjointed once Cheryl Hines came in. But once John Ross Bowie, he decided to just sit down. He like grabbed the drink, he sat down on the couch, and he would just like shoot a line out. Right. And I thought that was such a great idea of just kind of being like, you know what, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm just gonna sit. They can do their thing, and Cheryl can shoot out zingers as she's going. So it gives you something to focus on, because once it gets past the 3rd person, I felt like you can easily get distracted. There could be too much going on. So that's why I also felt that scene was better than the smoothie scene, because the smoothie scene instantly started with like 4 people within a minute of it going. So definitely. I mean, it was easy to get distracted, I think, with all the stuff going on. So I really support that choice, like you were saying, to sort of take a step back, let the scene play out. Because when you add new characters, obviously they have to assert themselves, they have to assert their storyline and their objectives, and sort of steal the scenes, so to speak. But it was interesting to see someone who made room for that and like with the group. So that was kind of cool. I definitely... a stronger team all around, I think, this time. Everyone was just nobody was like looking to have all the spotlight on them all at once. They were kind of better at listening. They were better at, knowing when they should step in, when they shouldn't. And also, you can see that just by the people who... I didn't know the other cast as well from last episode, but this episode, like Jordan Black, he's on Community, and I've seen John Ross Bowie and some other things.
Right.
He does improv as well. So they all come from like a really strong improv background, and they all kind of use that, I think, more... Or how am I going to phrase this? They use that better in the episode than the previous cast, for me at least.
Definitely. Well, hopefully maybe they saw the first taping and were able to sort of expect some of these things and how it will affect them. Obviously, the 22 degrees slant is pretty intense. I mean, it's we can see with the beer just flowing down so fast. I mean, that's got to be very slippery.
Yeah, and I also think that they intentionally make the floor
wet. Exactly.
They do something to the floor, because I was like, yeah, they should be able to stand a little bit longer than that, but they don't give them correct traction on their shoes or something, because they're always falling.
Just grease their shoes up.
Yeah, we're like, just so you know, you're gonna fall, guaranteed. So it was good. It was a good slideshow. It was a stronger episode overall.
Definitely. And even, I mean, with the second slideshow versus the first, I thought it was better, just because there was less falling. They sort of were using the environment to help them a lot more, and they kind of integrated it back into being like really drunk. We found Cheryl at the other bar, like she's hammered, she's in the chair. Like I thought it all worked a lot more cohesively, sort of in that reality.
And then with the beer taps breaking and like just randomly shooting into people's faces whenever they want to use them.
Exactly. And then using the bar to like sort of slide the glasses. I thought it all worked a lot more like sort of as a well-oiled machine. Yeah,
it kind of gave it like a Cheers feel.
Exactly.
People were catching it.
Yeah, hopefully they bring the bar scene back. I think that's a winning element for them.
Yeah. So, who knows? I don't know. I guess, should we go on to predictions?
Definitely.
Sorry, I love that song.
Oh, I like the lights. I'm a fan of the lights.
So what do you think for next week?
Tom Green, I believe, is with us next week.
And Andy Dick?
I believe that is correct. Yeah. Yes. So that should be a very fun show. It's been a while since I've seen Tom Green. He had a cameo in a Workaholics episode a little while back. But other than that, since his show, he's really sort of been, out of the limelight. So it'll be great to see him. Sort of curious how he and Andy Dick work together. Yeah,
I think I have a lot of fear for this episode, and just because both of them are so off the wall. And the last time I saw Tom Green, I think, was Freddie Got Fingered, and then the last time I saw Andy Dick was at the Trader Joe's in West Hollywood.
Nice.
So, they haven't really been like in the spotlight as much. At least I don't watch Workaholics, so I haven't seen them. But I've never seen them interact with each other or encounter each other, and they have very strong personalities. So I don't.
Absolutely.
That'll be interesting to see.
Very interesting. Well, I think it's going to be a messy episode. They definitely are not scared of getting dirty.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll be a show that the kiddies can still watch.
Definitely. We shall see. Well, until then, where can they find you, Adrian?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Yeah, and on some commercials, right?
And on a McDonald's commercial for French vanilla coffee.
Yes, which played, I don't know if it played for everybody, but it played for us, screening it, which was awesome.
First time seeing it.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. I'm your host, JB Zimmerman. You can find me at JB_Zimmerman on Twitter and Instagram. Also host Marin on Thursdays and our finale of Silicon Valley on Sundays.
All right.
Thanks for stopping by, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.